Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a 2013 model year launch that's loaded with features. This is the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT Chronograph, and there's a lot going on in this 43mm steel case. So 43mm is the diameter. We have a bit of an oddity here. The watch is thick, make no mistake. It's 17.2mm, but Omega officially claims 20. Possibly the only case I've ever encountered of a brand dramatically overstating the thickness of its watch. So 17.2, still a chunk, but definitely not 20. 51.5mm from lug tip to lug tip, and then 21mm the spacing between the lugs. There's a reason I always measure these watches to confirm. Taking a quick look on my wrist, you can see it's big, probably too big for my wrist. I'll let you decide whether my 16cm circumference wrist is a little bit overmatched by this thing. Maybe you think this is a great fit, but personally, I'd recommend a wrist of no less than 17cm circumference to deal with the sheer presence of this thing, and it is broad across the wrist too. The strap is high grade. We have a medium rectangular scale alligator leather here in a matte medium brown with a little bit of bolstering to add some volume near the lugs, a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom, and you can see this is a brand new Omega factory strap. We have here a buckle that's a long-running piece in the Omega collection, alternately polished and satinated. It is a twin trigger release, and the way this works is you press both triggers, that releases it, so it can't pop open due to inertia or momentum. The strap actually buckles in, tucks into these little tabs, and once it's buckled down, you close the clasp, and then all the extra length is hidden underneath the strap and the clasp, so there's no need for minder loops. And if you're wondering what I mean, these are minder loops. We don't need those here. Taking a quick look at the case, the well-known lyre style lugs. We've seen them on Omega Speedmasters and Seamasters since the early 60s. We have inward beveling, we have outward beveling. The outward bevel is polished. It thins out at the mid-case and flares at the lugs. We have longitudinal satination through the mid-case. We have oblong, alternately polished and satinated chronograph pushers, a polished and media-blasted crown, which is a screw down. The watch is 150 meters water resistant. The bezel has a little bit of a vertical section outboard, and then it has a broad conical section leading up to the sapphire. Underneath, one of Omega's most interesting dial constructions. So we have the teak deck concept that debuted in 2008, the idea being that your dial looks like the teak deck of a yacht. But what I find fascinating is this is actually a two-part, or maybe I should even say three-part dial, as we have these grills with the teak deck in a sort of satin white. They've been applied to a white lacquered base. So they actually sit as applique on the white lacquered base, which is why the minutes and seconds track outboard, as well as the sub-registers, are glossy white lacquer. Now the hands, which you can see in the dark right now, the hands actually give you a luminescent chronograph seconds hand, as well as a luminescent 24-hour hand over at 9 o'clock. This can be handy, so you can view your GMT function as well as your chronograph seconds in the dark. Also important to note, we have a high-grade all-applique dial. Yes, there's the top and the bottom, the main parts with the teak deck. We also have these lovely rose gold indices and hands, which have been alternately satinated and polished to create faceting and contrast, and I love that. The Omega marquee and the GMT letters, also applique. Lots going on here. So stop the chronograph real quick, and you can see we've got constant seconds and our second time zone over at 9 o'clock. And then we've got a mono counter with chronograph minutes and chronograph hours over at 3 o'clock. We have a broad arrow style minutes hand, and we'll reactivate the chronograph here, demonstrating how all of these functions work. We screw the crown out, and now I've got the ability to move the local hand independently. Note, I'm not moving anything else, and the chronograph is still very much running. Now when I pull the crown out all the way, I activate hacking seconds. Chronograph stops, constant second stops. This is the only way to adjust that second time zone. So what you want to do is first, you want to adjust that second time zone. You want to set your minute, and then you want to adjust your local time, which drives the date, so that it is correct for wherever you are. So there you go right there. That's how you set the local time after setting the second time zone. Now I will note the watch features a column wheel for its chronograph, which makes for a really crisp sounding and feeling action. And we've got a vertical clutch, which means when you start the chronograph, there's no jump or stagger to the chronograph seconds hand. It just moves. It doesn't suddenly leap the way a lateral clutch will. Also, if you like, you can leave the chronograph running full-time with a vertical clutch. There's no additional wear, tear, play, or damage to the movement like you'd have with a lateral clutch. Reverse side, you can see that there is a skeletonized bridge that shows you the column wheel. This is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It is also a coaxial escapement. I'll do my best to show you that. Look real carefully, and you can see that there is a bridge underneath the primary balance bridge, and that is the bridge for the coaxial escapement. So we have a double impulse direct and indirect tangential contact system as developed by George Daniels and industrialized by Omega starting in 1999. It improves chronometry, power reserve, and reduces maintenance requirements. We've also got shock resistance in the form of a full rotor bearing for the winding system rather than a jeweled staff. Ceramic rotor balls, you can see the bearings, the actual bearing balls are ceramic and unlubricated for efficiency and durability. We've got an anti-magnetic balance staff, escapement, and silicone hairspring. And we've got a quirky beat rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is there specifically for the silicone hairspring. All of this pivoting on 54 joules, adjusted to 5 positions. And you can see it features both blackened and polished screws with spiral arabesque Côte de Genève. And though the bevels are machined, they are attractive. And there's engine turning on the base plate as well as satination on the wheels. A really good looking movement. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT Chronograph. Oh, I thought of 2 more things you should know. First, double barrel movement. Omega's premium movements always have the double barrel. Gives you a 60-hour power reserve, but it also evens out the torque release from the mainspring so it doesn't gallop when fully wound or lose a lot of time and amplitude after 18, 24, 36 hours. The other thing worth mentioning is it does have a 60-hour power reserve, which is still solidly above the industry average of about 38 to 42 for automatic watches.